YouTube. So it's the end of another month, which means that today's video is a book of the month video, and this month I have been reading Trixie and Katya's Guide to Modern Womanhood by Trixie Mattel and Katya. If you're new here, hello, my name is Tori Cyclic. I make new videos every Sunday for Cyclic Sunday with other videos throughout the week. If you like what you see, like this video down below and subscribe while you're down there as well. You can also follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok in the description at tss6295. Now, let's get into the video. So this month in choosing my book, I didn't really have a conscious decision behind it. I just happened to see on Trixie and Katya's social media that they had a new book out, and I was like, well, might as well go ahead and read that, and I ordered it on Kindle, and there we go, read it on there. Like I've said in the past about reading ebooks, I'm not a huge fan of reading books online on like apps because it reminds me of reading books online for school, but this one was actually a really quick read, and reading this book on my computer and on my phone was actually fairly quick to go through. Didn't feel like as much of a hassle as it has felt with other ebooks, which was a different thing for me in reading this book. I'm also a huge fan of Trixie Mattel and Katya from their runs on Drag Race, and I think they're so funny. I love all of their stuff they post on YouTube and their show with World of Wonder. So when they said they were releasing a book, I was like, this is gonna be great, and I think I'm gonna really enjoy it. Right from the very beginning of this book, even in the table of contents, it is hilarious, and you feel like you're watching an episode of Trixie and Katya's show. I think this is such a good way to get readers invested and interested in a book, especially when that's more of a self-help nonfiction type of book, because this is in that kind of realm. It's not a fiction book where you have to suck the audience in a certain way, whereas with nonfiction books, sometimes it can be kind of dry at the beginning, but Trixie and Katya have written it in a really great way that makes you interested right from the start. I think it's such a funny viewpoint that it's two drag queens giving womanly advice, but it's also really powerful in showing how you can understand your masculinity and your femininity no matter what your gender is, and understanding how you can present that in different ways, as well as understand it in your life, your social media, your personal relationships. I just think it was a really interesting and funny idea to go off of to write the book. There's also some really great photos of Trixie and Katya throughout the book that really add to what they're talking about in specific sections and specific chapters. I think it really helps to drive the point home, as well as it's a hilarious photo to look at too. The book is broken up into 3 different sections, which are beauty and style, homemaking, and relationships. And the chapters also alternate between who is writing them, either Trixie or Katya, and then there is also a chapter kind of near the end of each section, which is a conversation between both of them. There's a specific section on page 90 of the book, which is from one of Katya's chapters I wanted to read because it's so funny, because Katya's humor is a lot darker than Trixie Mattel's. Trixie's is more of like self-deprecating humor, but also talking a lot about like shady kinds of things as well, and being like somebody who's not a millennial learning millennial terms, whereas Katya's humor is a lot more on the darker side of things, and I always find it really funny, but this section in particular made me laugh, and I had to go back and reread it because I was like, wait a second, did Katya really write that? In such inevitable periods of floundering self-worth, I find it helpful to imagine that I have a severely developmentally disabled quadriplegic radiation poisoned dog named Tabitha. I certainly wouldn't berate her for hours and hours about all the goals she has yet to accomplish, nor would I ever viciously mock her mangy fur, mercilessly bully her about her lack of ambition, her laziness, or her poor decision-making skills and chronic tardiness. After all, she can't even read a clock. She's also blind. Then I try to summon the same level of compassion I would naturally feel towards Tabitha and apply it to myself, and the result is often remarkable. I pat myself on the head and in a very loud, slow, and patronizing tone say out loud, "You're doing the best you can, sweetie," or maybe you're not, but it's fine. Don't worry, everything's going to be okay. The more helpless and disadvantaged you can envision yourself, the greater the amount of compassion you'll be able to embody, and the better equipped to wait out these stormy pockets of self-doubt without psychologically torturing yourself to death. Something that I really like just in the structure of the book is that Trixie did the makeup chapter of the book, because Trixie's makeup is such a specific style of makeup, being very Barbie doll-esque and being very heightened to a sense of it not being really looking like a woman but being more of a character. I thought that was really a good way for her to talk about her opinions about makeup and what she does with her makeup, and she also, I just love watching her YouTube videos where she does makeup as well, so I feel like it was a very well planned out chapter. I really like the sections of the book that are the conversations between Trixie and Katya, because I think it's a really good structure for a self-help kind of book, because you're getting 2 different perspectives on the same topic, as well as Trixie and Katya's perspectives are very funny and can be kind of dark but also humorous too, so you get that kind of perspective as well, and it feels like you're sitting in a room talking with them, or you're even watching an episode of their show or listening to them on a podcast or something. It just feels very personal. I think it works really well for this book. I think my favorite conversation that they have throughout the book is about personal style, because Trixie and Katya's personal styles are so different, whereas Trixie's is very Barbie doll, 60s and Dolly Parton inspired, and Katya's is, as she, I think, says in the book, or she says somewhere on Drag Race, being like a Russian gay slut. So there's very different things in there, and it's really interesting to hear them and read about them talking about their different fashion icons that they try to emulate and the things that they have in common with their fashion senses as well. I think the tone of the book really matches who Trixie and Katya are on TV and in social media, because it doesn't feel very different from who they are in that kind of sense. It just kind of feels like they're taking what they put on TV and put in social media and writing it into a book. And the tone of the book as well is pretty honest and open about a lot of things with a bit of a snarky attitude, which is how Trixie and Katya always are. I also love how openly Katya talks about her relationships to drugs and drug use, because it is something that she discussed when she was on Drag Race and her struggles with it, but she writes about it in a very honest and open way, and it can kind of be a taboo subject to talk about, but Katya really goes head on with it, and it's really refreshing to read somebody talk about drugs and drug use in that kind of way. And even though the book is about 200 pages, it was a really fast read. I kind of felt like I flew through it, and I really like that about this book, because I feel like it's a book that I will definitely want to come back to and read again and find new things when I'm reading it a second time or a third time through. So those are my thoughts about Trixie and Katya's Guide to Modern Womanhood. If you've also read this book, let me know what you think about it in the comments down below. And if there are any future book recommendations that you have for me, leave those in the comments down below as well. And if you have anything else you want to see on this channel, leave that in the comments down below. Thank you guys so much for watching, DFTBA, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!